and welcome back to On the Plus Side. Really good of you to join us, and we're still on the whole Zoom thing for now. I've been like zooming all day. Zoom, I can say.
You may recognize part of the course now.
It really is. It's become our new norm. And you may recognize, I don't know when it comes out if you're this side of me or this side of me, but I'm going to look here. Sinead, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, considering everything going on. You know me, always do it with a smile, whatever's going on. So that hasn't changed. I'm quite lucky. I'm still working and I'm able to work from home. So business as usual for me.
Brilliant. Very good. And for those who don't recognize, that's not proper English. Anyway, you know what I mean, guys. If you don't recognize Sinead, you would have seen her last year's catwalk in, where were we, Sinead?
We were in
Ballsbridge,
yeah.
Ballsbridge, and looking spectacular, I may say.
Well, it's very easy wearing Dreamy Curves clothes and all the others that were there that day.
Oh, they're just fabulous. We just can't wait to get going again. We're like, yay! Sinead, I know that I've known you before Island's Got Curves. I've known you for...
Feels like forever now. I'm actually not too sure how many years it is now. It's got to be at least
2006
or 7,
something like that.
Earlier than that.
Oh,
yeah. I'd say it's 2014, 2015, somewhere around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I've also attended a couple of your events. So everyone here knows that Island's Got Curves and my event, but I've actually had the honour and the privilege of getting involved with some of your events for a fundraiser that you have done, or fundraisers you have done. Can you tell us a bit about them and the story as to why you got involved with this particular charity?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know me, I talk about my nephew Thomas all the time. Thomas arrived into the world 15 weeks prematurely. To my sister, Ashlyn, I talk about her incessantly too. So Ashlyn was on holiday in Portugal just for a week. It was the last holiday before her first baby was due. And she'd been for the usual checkups on the Friday with the hospital. They gave her the green light to go on holiday. So she wasn't due for 15 weeks and everything was going fine. She went with her husband, joined a couple of friends. They flew on the Sunday, and the following Saturday, she started to feel a little unwell and ended up in hospital in Faro on the Sunday. And Thomas arrived 758 grams on the Monday. And as you can imagine, we were all in quite a lot of shock. She was in Portugal. She doesn't speak Portuguese. It was incredibly early. I was in work trying to figure out what was going on, because other than the call to say she was in hospital on the Sunday, I didn't hear from her and I didn't hear from Tony, and nobody was answering the phones. So working for a multinational company as I do, I actually went and tracked down a Portuguese speaker and made them ring the hospital for me. And actually it was through him that I found out that she'd had a little boy. Didn't know any more than that. Carried on texting and bombarding the phone, wanting to try and figure out what's going on. Anyway, as I say, Thomas arrived, and obviously when a baby arrives that prematurely and given his size, you're warned that, 50-50 chance of survival, basically. Well, I think the odds were probably less than that. But as the weeks went on, those first milestones of anybody that has a premature baby, first feed, first kind of breath without CPAP, and all the other terminology around prem babies happened. And actually it got to the point that around week 9 or 10, there was talks of bringing him back to London. So you can imagine we all got a bit excited about that. So 11 weeks, he was medevaced back to a hospital in London, which is where Ashlyn was living at the time. And so that was, I think they arrived back in London on the Tuesday. And then not that Friday, but the following Friday, I got a call at work. We've been told we need to get ready to bring Thomas home. Well, I think the tears just came flooding down my face. And we then ended up trying to get all of the stuff you need at home for a baby. She hadn't got any of that arranged, obviously. That was the Friday. On the Sunday, having had a family visit from Tony's parents, her husband's parents, I got a call to say that he was being rushed to a different hospital because something was wrong. They rushed him into surgery, and basically he got neck, which is an infection of the intestines. That's one of the last things to develop in pregnant babies. And they basically cut out the dead tissue, but because of his age and his size, they couldn't do the whole surgery in one. They were going to go back in on the Wednesday. And on the Wednesday, they went back in, and unfortunately, there was nothing left. So it will regenerate if there's enough, like a lung, it will grow back. But because there was nothing there, the infection had basically killed off everything. Ashlyn and Tony had to watch Thomas pass away at just 13 weeks and a day old. I don't know for anybody. I'm an auntie, I'm not the parent, and it's still extremely, extremely upsetting, even these years later. So Thomas was born on the 29th of August 2016, and he passed away on the 30th of November 2016. So one Friday you're organising stuff to bring him home, and then the following Friday you're in London taking your sister to meet a priest to organise a funeral. Horrific. There's nothing pleasant about infant loss, and I'm sure it's the same for child loss. It's just not natural. And the fact that he had been told we would bring him home, for then literally the wind to be ripped out of the sails and for it to just nosedive and go the opposite way. It's harrowing watching your sister have to endure and go through all of that, and trying to be strong for her husband and for the rest of us. And my mum, even, watching this very strong, demonstrative, independent woman just be a shadow of herself is just not what anybody wants to see, never mind a child that's grown up looking at her as a woman of inspiration, and I still feel that. So I decided that I couldn't bring him back, but I wanted to do something. And I started having those feelings around the March. So he passed away in the November, and around the March I was like, I can't seem to get Ashlyn out of the black hole that she's in. I also don't want Thomas to be forgotten about. And I started thinking, what can I do? My sister, I'm the one interested in fashion, all aspects of it, as most people know about me. My sister is the one who can afford to buy fashion. So she's the one with 1 million pairs of original Louboutin and various other designer wear, that I thought something fashion related might be good. And just as I started teasing out what I would do, that was March. In April, middle of the night, I got a call from Ashlyn to say that my dad had died. And he'd only just turned 60. It was 19 weeks after Thomas. I hadn't seen him for a while because he lived in Spain when he passed away. And again, the total devastation of Thomas was still very much there, but then to lose your dad on top of that, fairly horrific. And then 10 weeks after my dad, my stepdad died suddenly at 68. And it's like they talk about things coming in threes. I just felt that I wasn't able to deal with any of it, really. So I threw myself into organising a fundraiser. I looked around to see what supports, and I remember with things that Ashlyn had to go through with Thomas, some of the things were just awful, like how you register a baby's death, the supports available in hospital. Even when we went to visit Thomas's body in the hospital in London, we had to wait outside the maternity ward, which meant we were waiting to see a dead child whilst people were pushing out newborns or walking past heavily pregnant. and I just thought, things have to change, this is horrific. So I came back to Ireland, and I was obviously looking around to see what charities were out there. Came across at the time it was the Irish Premature Babies charity, and I interacted with them. I met the then director. They had quite a few changes, and I basically let them know what I wanted to do, and were they okay with me doing that. And I took the decision to do a fashion show. I have an interest in fashion. I know quite a few people. Obviously, I know you, so I was able to get a demo. But I kind of thought, you know, talking about infant loss is still quite taboo. People just don't know how to handle it or how to talk about it. Some people talk freely about it, as I do, and others don't want to talk about their experiences. And I understand there's no wrong or right with how you manage that. But
I think as well with that, Sinead, is people try to say the right thing, and they don't know what to say, because I've had a loss myself, a miscarriage, and well, I've actually had 2 miscarriages, and people say, oh, you've more kids, or oh, you can try again, or oh, you know, they try to make things better. And
yeah.
for me, when I was going through that, there's nothing. So if I meet anyone, I mean, excuse my language, but all I can say is, that's so shit that happened to you.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I'm sorry for their loss, but I haven't done anything. You know, nothing was helping me.
But I don't know about you. Obviously, I don't have children. I haven't gone through it firsthand. But I think, you know, even just with bereavements in general, so I think of my dad and my stepdad, just to have them acknowledged, and to acknowledge that you've had a shit thing happen. It isn't, people in that situation aren't expecting people are going to have the right things to say. But I think saying nothing at all can be, and more generally, is harmful.
Yes.
You know, quite quickly as an individual will pick up if somebody wants to continue talking about it or not.
Exactly.
But to not give them the choice, I think, is worse.
Yeah, exactly. So, Sinead, you turned your head to fashion. I feel crazy moving us on so quick, but you know, on the plus side, we're 15 minutes, and it always.
And I talk too much, as normal, as I'm known for.
Not at all, Sinead, because this is a story that people may have gone through, or may be going through, or would get an understanding more. And the fact that you're speaking so openly is wonderful, and I applaud you for that, and I thank you for that, because like you say, I know Thomas. I never met Thomas.
No.
When I was saying to come on the show, I said, would you mind speaking about Thomas? Thomas has been here. He's a person. He's existed. It's not something just to move on, you know? Yeah. So thank you for that. But it has led on to your passion for fashion, and you have always had a passion for fashion. Yeah. And when you're doing a fundraiser, it's always best to pull in from what you know, because I mean, we did Ireland's Got Curves, the unlimited edition with special needs Ireland, because we knew how to do that, you know? Yeah. So you started in fashion. Cool. I'm not going to put an age on you.
No, I'm happy to put it out there, because I think I look all right for my age. But I literally, when I left school at 16, I went to study fashion and textiles. And unfortunately, I did about 16 months of a 3-year course, and ended up, well, I met an army man, fell in love, and basically, the education went out the window. I got a real job, and the rest is history. But I decided lots of things in the year that followed Thomas's death. So I obviously mentioned my dad and my stepdad. My biggest nemesis was my teeth. So if you remember, I went and got braces, train tracks.
I do remember. Yeah,
I decided to pull the plaster and start revisiting some of the things that I put off or stopped or didn't complete. So getting the teeth straightened was one of them. Getting some work done on the house was another one, and going back to school was the last one. So I'm now I've done a few shorter courses in fashion, product planning, purchasing, buying, that sort of stuff. And I'm now doing fashion design. So I finished the classroom side. I just have the assignments left to do. So yeah, it's very exciting.
It really is, because I mean, I'm just assuming, I'm just assuming that you're not going to leave us curvy girls out of your range.
No. So interestingly enough, it's stuff I've always been interested in. There's lots of drivers as to why plus size fashion is important to me, and not because I'm curvy myself. That'd be too cliche. But it's so. Both my mum and my sister got boob reductions because we're a gifted family naturally, not because of size. Yeah, exactly. Like my mum had to wait for early retirement and use a pension lump sum to go and get her boobs done at 62. But that will just tell you what a disaster. And Ashlyn had the money to get them done earlier in life. I don't want to do that. That's their choice, but for me, no, thank you. So I've always wanted to try and tackle that problem. And I guess the other two kind of key drivers of where I am today, getting married in a church in Ireland with no bra, because you can't find lingerie to fit you, and ended up going without. I'm not a God botherer, but I do recognise and respect being in a church. So I wasn't overly comfortable about it, but I loved the dress too much to not do, and go with that. And then modelling in London Fashion Week, not last year, but the year before, was really eye-opening, I have to say, between what happens backstage, the types of clothes made available. We were plus size in a mainstream show, but I wasn't quite enamoured with the clothing available, and not one designer, but specifically, but across the board. So I thought, you know what, if they can do it, I have to at least try.
Yeah. So amazing. And Sinead, thank you so much for all you do, and cannot wait to see more of you and your clothes and your designs coming up in the future. As usual, we are out of time, and it goes so quick. So we're going to drop a link into the charity that you've raised money for, and if anyone wants to check that out or ask you any more questions, I'm sure they can reach out to you, either the charity or yourself.
And anybody that's dealing with bereavement of any type, if you feel like I'm somebody you'd like a cup of tea with, it might have to be virtual over Zoom, reach out. I'm available.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited.
See you guys next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye.